Gary Petty.
And I'm Sarah Petty, and we're the Petty team with RE/MAX DFW Associates.
A lot of people think of hourly employees and salaried employees whenever they think of individuals who would be getting a mortgage loan to buy a house. But there's another type of buyer, the self-employed, and the underwriting guidelines for their mortgages are slightly different.
We went to Biddle Medley with Caliber Home Loans to talk about these differences. Biddle, help us understand what determines if someone is self-employed. Like, what's the definition of being self-employed?
Self-employed borrower is anyone that has a ownership interest in a business that's 25% or greater.
What's the difference in the way that you calculated income for a self-employed person versus a W-2 income person?
Well, for a W-2 income person, we will place great emphasis on the most recent 30-day pay stubs to see what they're currently being paid, and we'll weigh that against what's on their W-2s for the past 2 years. For most self-employed borrowers, they may not have pay stubs, so therefore we place great emphasis on the past 2 years of tax return. We will request individual tax returns as well as business tax returns to support what's on the individual tax returns.
In this case, could business assets be used toward a purchase?
Yes, as long as we have a letter from the CPA stating that the use of business funds would not have an adverse effect to the business.
Biddle, what would you recommend some tips for somebody who is self-employed that's thinking of buying in the next year or two?
I would say plan ahead. Take into consideration how much income I would need to have to purchase the size house I would like to purchase. So they need to be aware of what they write off, because that would impact their income in a negative way, and therefore that will affect what they're able to get qualified for. A lot of times self-employed borrowers, they write off a little too much. Going back to the original question, we always use 2-year tax returns. So at least plan 1 year in ahead, so when we take your 2-year average, you have at least one good year of selling income, of high income. Another thing that they'll need to be aware of is what they deposit in their business or personal account. The underwriter will look for a paper trail for any deposits that are unsourced.
What are unsourced deposits?
A deposit that does not have a title, or a deposit that we don't know where those funds came from.
Okay, so if you have to create a paper trail, how do you do that? What's involved?
We will ask the borrower to explain where the funds came from, and then we'll back that up or support that with a copy of a canceled check.
Biddle, is there anything else that you wanted to bring up that you think might be of interest to somebody who is in this position?
Yeah, I would like to talk about business obligations that are in their personal name. They can be excluded from their debt-to-income ratio, but they would need to provide evidence that the business has been paying for this obligation for at least 12 months uninterrupted. Or they could write it off in their Schedule C, and we'll see that on their tax returns, and we will be able to omit that from their debt-to-income ratio.
All right, well, thanks, Biddle. We really appreciate it.
If you have any questions about this topic, contact Biddle Medley or contact us.
We're always glad to help. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching.